This is Bill CYPHER, and he is one terrifying triangle. Don't be charmed by that top hat and bow tie. This deranged tortilla chip is literally so dangerous that his prison sentence is trillions, yes, trillions of years long. But how did it get so insanely high? Well, let's dive into this one-eyed beast's pure evil crimes to find out. What's the shortest amount of time a villain has taken to commit their first crime after their first on-screen appearance? 15 minutes? A whole episode? Try 26 seconds.
Deer teeth, for you, kid. You're insane! Sure I am. What's your point?
I mean, hey, at least he gave the teeth back. This really needs no explanation, but ripping out teeth from live animals would be considered animal cruelty by the courts, and even if they do get returned. The felony would earn CYPHER 5 years in the slammer plus a $20K fine. That should cover the deer's dentist bill nicely. Now, two things shocked me in the episode Dipper and Mabel versus the Future. Firstly, I couldn't unhear Morty Smith's voice whenever the time travel guy opened his mouth.
It's called a time bubble, and it prevents time from going forward. Falls can last as long as you want it to.
But how does it work?
I just need you to get a little gizmo for something small. He won't even know it's missing.
Huh, something like that in his nerd bag.
Secondly, I couldn't believe Mabel was actually dumb enough to hand over Grunkle Ford's precious interdimensional time rift to Bill CYPHER.
Wait!
At last! The gate between worlds has opened! The alien years prophesied has come to pass!
After causing an apocalypse by opening a rift between the Nightmare Realm and Earth, Bill kidnaps Mabel and holds her prisoner in this bubble.
Shooting star from Mabel's sweater! It's in there. I know it.
Whoa.
We don't have that, but we do have this thing where Mabel needs us.
Now, judging by the exterior of it, you'd expect the inside to resemble nothing else but a terrifying, fiery pit of doom. Dipper, Seuss, and Wendy thought that too, so they were definitely shook when they walked in and saw this.
This is Mabel's prison?
Yes, definitely.
It's fun o'clock, everyone. Calls for rainbows with a chance of dance party. If you're the owner of a unicorn with a top hat, Cream Beach, your unicorn is being towed.
What is this new world? Shining, shimmering, splendid!
After realizing Mabel Land is just a diabolical trap Bill designed so Mabel will never try to escape, Dipper gets put on trial for questioning reality. If he wins his case, Mabel will return to the real world with him. If he loses, he will be banished back to Gravity Falls alone and replaced with another Dipper who's 100 times cooler than he'll ever be.
Lip-a-dip-dip!
I hate him much.
When Dipper promises to turn down Ford's apprenticeship and move to California, the siblings embrace in a hug. This causes Mabel to snap back to reality, and the beautiful paradise around her begins to unravel into its true form. The kids escape on a giant flying waddles and burst through the bubble back into the real world, determined to take on Bill CYPHER, who, by the way, is getting charged with false imprisonment and jailed for 5 years. He'll also have to pay a $10,000 fine, which is honestly kind of insulting to Mabel. Like, come on, Bill deserves to cough up at least $1 million. As if watching that fricker Bill turn his Grunkle Ford into a back scratcher wasn't horrifying enough for poor Dipper, the kid then had to run for his frackin' life after CYPHER gave his hench maniacs the green light to eat him as a pre-party snack.
Party at the Pyramid! Oh, an 8-ball treat. Have the kid for a snack.
Okay, I hate to admit it, but Bill's getaway car is pretty cool. The hungry monsters chased Dipper through the woods, but he escaped uneaten. Even though he got away unharmed, Bill could still be charged with soliciting murder. The crime is a very serious felony, and a conviction would mean up to 9 years in the big house, plus a fine of 10 grand. Grunkle Ford deserves at least 10 million in compensation after being used as Bill's back scratcher, though. Puppets can be pretty darn creepy. Nothing will ever compare to a one-eyed demon triangle, though. In the episode Sock Opera, Mabel falls in love with this weird guy named Gabe, who's obsessed with puppets, and she pretends to be a puppet expert just to impress him. Tale as old as time. While she's off preparing a disaster of a puppet show, Dipper is busy trying to crack the password for a laptop containing all the greatest secrets of Gravity Falls. Desperate times call for desperate measures, so he agrees to give Bill CYPHER a puppet in exchange for the password. Yeah, definitely ain't the sharpest tool in the shed now, is he?
What puppet are you gonna pick?
Meeny, miny.
What did you do to my body?
Sorry, kid, but you're my puppet.
This can't be happening.
After stomping on the laptop, Bill races to the theater so he can destroy Dipper's journal, which Mabel is currently using as a prop in her puppet show. Dipper chases after the Dorito douchebag who's stolen his body and tries to get help, but nobody will ever hear him without a vessel. And since there are no dead bodies lying around for him to inhabit, a smelly old sock will just have to do. Not like he'd want to inhabit a dead body anyway.
Mabel!
Ah, it's come to life! The puppet
Mabel, it's me, Dipper.
Wait, what? Dipper? So much more of a sock?
Bill tricked me. He stole my body, and it's the only hope to get me back.
Q's coming up any minute.
While Dipper actually makes Sock Mabel and Sock Gabe make out in front of a live audience, Mabel retrieves the journal. However, Bill Dipper, aka Bipper, suddenly appears, and the two of them end up crashing onto the stage and start fighting each other for the journal. Grunkle Stan is, of course, super ashamed of his grandniece and nephew's bad behavior.
Get out of my brother's body, you...
Children fighting! I can sell this!
I don't like the way that sounds. Bill can't access his powers without being in his own body, so he'll have to rely on Dipper's body to win the fight. Too bad he's a total weed who literally ends up on the floor withering in pain after being tickled. After chasing Mabel around the stage for just a few seconds, a sleep-deprived Bipper collapses on the floor in defeat. The fall forces Cypher's body out of Dipper and into a puppet, and being 100% cotton, he's pretty easy to destroy.
You can't stop me!
I'm sorry, Gabe.
And I thought the ending to Titanic was sad. Rip sock puppet Grunkle Stan, man. I was so emotionally touched by Mabel's Tony Award-winning sock puppet play that I almost moved on to the next segment without discussing the crimes Bill committed in that episode. Okay, so Cypher committed 2 offenses in that episode: identity theft for taking over Dipper's body, and property damage for stomping on his laptop. Those crimes will have him thrown in prison for 10 years and fined $6,000. He totally deserves to be charged for ruining the sock puppet show, though. I never got to see the end, dang it. Bill is one mighty equilaterals. He's got so many awesome yet scary powers like dream manipulation, telekinesis, teleportation, pyrokinesis, and whatever the hell this is.
I would just like to say that as a rich capitalist, perhaps I can be one of your, horse for talking.
Oh wow, that's a great offer! Double the functions of every hole in your face!
You know what? I don't even feel bad for the guy. If he's willing to betray his species that early in the game, screw him. The maimed rich dude probably has enough money to surgically put his face back together, but does Cypher have enough money to bail himself out of jail for committing mayhem? That is the crime of disfiguring another person, and the felony will land the Top Hat Terror and the Clank for 8 years with a $10K fine. But we need to double all that, because when Bill sent that weirdness wave of Gravity Falls, he transformed Seuss's grandmother into an armchair.
Abuelita, a tidal wave of mad.
Such an imagination.
Ah!
Why don't you have a seat and relax? I'll be fine. You go help the others.
I'm trying to be like Seuss's grandma, though. Like, how is she so chill? She's in the middle of a weird apocalypse, and her already terrible situation has just been made 1,000 times worse. Like, if she on drugs, I'm on drugs. Put me to work. Anyway, guys, we're already halfway through this freckin' Triangle's crimes now, and his creepy eyes looking at about 45 years in the slammer plus $66,000 in fines. That is shockingly low for someone as sick and twisted as Bill Cypher, but don't you worry. That jail time and those fines are about to skyrocket faster than little Gideon's heart beats whenever Mabel walks by. Bill Cypher isn't a menace to everyone in Gravity Falls just for funsies. This deranged psychopath's evil plan is to create a weird Mageddon and rule the multiverse by opening a rift between the Nightmare Realm and Earth. Uncle Ford is able to keep the rift safe and sound away from Bill for years, but in the episode Dipper and Mabel vs. the Future, it ends up in Mabel's backpack by mistake, and Cypher tricks her into handing it over by disguising himself as the time travel guy. She then gets knocked out and later imprisoned in a bubble, completely unaware that Bill opened a gateway to the Nightmare Realm and is now, it's the end of the world.
What's going on? What is that?
We're too late. It's the end of the world.
Bill's nightmares cause an apocalypse and destroy the whole of Gravity Falls, turning thousands of people into stone in the process. There's no better word to describe what he did than terrorism. One charge of the felony would land Cypher and the Slammer for life with a minimum of 20 years before parole. Yeah, there's no way a terrorist tortilla chip is ever getting let out of the big house. Isn't it super weird how only Gravity Falls is affected by Bill's apocalypse? Like, Triangle Guy is so powerful, he and his army of monsters could have conquered the world probably in less than a week. Well, turns out Gravity Falls is a super magical place with a natural law of weirdness magnitude. This creates a force field around the town which stops Bill and all his monsters from getting out and causing worldwide chaos. There's only one smarty pants in town who knows a simple equation to collapse the barrier, but he would never spill the deets, so Bill has to torture the information out of him.
Ready to talk now?
Won't let you into my mind.
What do you think, 500 volt?
Grunkle Ford avoided the 500-volt shock after Dipper and Mabel broke into the pyramid with a robot they made from the Mystery Shack. However, he isn't the only character Bill had tortured.
Gideon!
Captured me. He's been forcing me to do. I'm so tired. How do we undo this?
Not little Gideon calling himself cute when he's literally the ugliest kid in Gravity Falls. Forcing little Gideon to dance for all eternity without a single break is hilarious, and honestly karma for being a gigantic dirtbag the entire show. But Bill's treatment of him would actually be considered a form of torture by the law, as would electrocuting Grunkle Ford. 2 charges of this felony would land the Triangle Torturer with a 40-year jail sentence plus a $20,000 fine. Because of Bill, little Gideon tasted a tiny bit of karma, and I know he secretly loved wearing that sailor suit anyway. You know, a lot of people lie in bed at 2 a.m. haunted by super embarrassing moments from their lives. I definitely don't do that, by the way. It'd be a total tragedy if some bow tie wearing triangle could go inside your mind and see every cringy thing you've ever done. Thankfully, none of us live in Gravity Falls. So, yeah. After little Gideon summons Bill CYPHER and the Dreamscapers, the Triangle uses his powers to teleport into Stan's mind and locate the combination for this save.
Grunkle Stan!
Mabel and Dipper recite an incantation to follow the triangle and stop him from getting the code. They arrive in the terrifying black and white hellhole of their uncle's mind, and it does not take long before they bump into CYPHER, who's not particularly happy about the little punks that followed him here.
I had a hunch I might bump into you.
Boop.
What do you want with our uncle's mind anyway?
Inside the shack is a maze of 1,000 uncle's memories. There's a memory of him inputting the code. Pay me handsomely.
Not if we stop you!
The kids will have to find the right door before Bill does, and hopefully their search doesn't lead them to a door, which will scar them for life.
I have a good feeling about this door.
Hey, Mr. Tummy.
Hey, Mr. Stan! Yes! Yum, yum, yum. Sweet Sally.
Oh man, ever heard of something called wax, Stan? The next door is the one containing the code, and Seuss volunteers to destroy it using his big fat arms. Cue plot twist.
Hey guys, short shorts. Doesn't look half bad. Hey, something weird's going on here.
I knew you'd lead me straight to the code.
So is everyone just gonna ignore the fact that Seuss confessed to enjoying the sight of Stan roller skating in short shorts? No, just me. Bill zooms away with the door calling everyone suckers, which is kinda accurate. He calls Gideon, but before he gets a chance to tell him the code, Mabel fires a plunger and knocks the memory out of his hands and into the bottomless pit of Stan's mind. Now it's lost forever, and Gideon backs out of the deal. CYPHER, of course, doesn't handle these kinds of situations calmly.
You me. Do you have any idea?
I'm mad.
Mad when he gets mad.
That is one fiery chip, dude. I bet he tastes good, though. Sorry, I'm hungry. Bill kind of tells the kids to eat nightmares and proceeds to conjure up their worst fears, which are interesting to say the least.
This quack for stinking the pudding.
Ah! It's everything I ever feared!
Ah! Why can't you do to my...
Bill must also hate Mabel the most because he tragically murders her imaginary boyfriends right in front of her. Mabel and Seuss are next to feel CYPHER's wrath, but Dipper reappears just in time and laser zaps Bill, having discovered that anything is possible in Uncle Stan's mindscape. The other two start developing their own superpowers, and Bill ends up getting attacked by adorable pink kittens and a stomach beam stare. The Triangle can't take any more of this torture and flees the scene, but not before warning the kids that it'll always be watching them. And do you know who will always be watching you, Bill CYPHER? A police warden, because you just racked up a hell of a lot of jail time in that one episode. Let me break it down for you guys. First, we got invasion of privacy for invading Stan's mind without permission. That crime will get Mr. Triangle jailed for 1 year and fined $1,000 in fines. Next, we got assault for blasting that hole straight through Dipper. That'll increase Bill's sentence by 32 years and $750,000. Lastly, CYPHER committed identity theft again when he impersonated Seuss. Mayhem when he turned Mabel into a hideous green monster, and 2 counts of attempted murder when Dipper stopped him from vaporizing Mabel and Seuss. All those crimes bring CYPHER's jail time and fines to 96 years and $2,766,000. I wouldn't be surprised if Gideon was going to pay that much money to Bill just to get the stupid code to Stan's safe. CYPHER's clearly a force to be reckoned with because he can literally shoot laser beams out of his creepy Illuminati eye. And set Dipper's journals on fire with just the flick of a finger. As we've already established, he could definitely destroy the whole of Gravity Falls single-handedly, but he can't really be bothered, so he just conjured up a weirdness wave that creates monsters to do the job for him.
end of the world. Those death metal album covers got it shockingly right.
Yeah, that goat don't got a clue what's going on. Not a single thought behind those eyes. I envy that. Getting his army of freaks to do his dirty work doesn't make Bill any less responsible for the mass property damage inflicted on Gravity Falls. Fun fact alert, guys. Gravity Falls is based on a real-life Oregon town called Boring, whose twin town is Dole, might I add. Boring has a population of 8,000. Gravity Falls' population is probably around 16,000 though, because they have a shopping mall and a civic center. So, since the whole of Gravity Falls was destroyed by Bill Cipher's Weirdmageddon, at least 10,000 buildings must have been damaged. The maximum penalty for property damage can be as high as 24 years in prison and $1 million in fines. Do the math, the pointy jerk's looking at 240,000 years and $10 billion in fines. And you know what's funny? Bill's species can live for trillions of years, so he technically could be eligible for parole in the year 242,025. Not quite long enough to outlive the sun, but close second. Not really a close second. It's like 5 billion years. Also, then again, property damage isn't the only crime he's going to be convicted of here, so let me hold that thought. Speaking of apocalyptic terror, let's discuss the even more evil stuff this beast with one eye is responsible for, turning everyone into stone, as we've previously mentioned. Bill himself has only turned 2 characters to stone, Deputy Durland and Grunkle Ford. Why Deputy Durland?
Darling! This?
I needed a new back scratcher.
However, he is liable for the thousands of attacks carried out by his eyeball bat hench maniac things who scour Gravity Falls day and night looking for innocent civilians to turn into stone.
3 in this strange cataclysmic event, the odd apocalypse. Weather today calls for black and frequent showers of eyeball bats turning people into stone.
Wendy also revealed to Dipper that the monsters froze Nate, Lee, Tambry, and Thompson. Robbie was also caught too after he paused to take a selfie. So how many people exactly in Gravity Falls actually turned to stone? Well, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the population of Gravity Falls is approximately 16K, and we know for a fact that there are thousands of victims because we see Bill sitting on this literal throne of frozen human agony incarnate.
My armlets. Whoops! back you go there.
I'd estimate that about 15,000 of those 16K people were turned into stone and used as Bill's furniture, and that's being generous, because honestly, I would just chalk it up to everyone being turned to stone. Now, some of you might be wondering why this isn't a mass murder case. Well, the people don't actually die when they get turned to stone. I mean, Gravity Falls is a kid's show after all, but they do get knocked unconscious, and that means we can charge Bill Cipher with 15,000 counts of assault. We can also throw in 15,000 counts of kidnapping because the eyeball monsters abduct everyone they turn to stone and bring them back to the pyramid. Assault carries a maximum penalty of 32 years, and kidnapping carries a maximum penalty of 25 years. So this triangle tyrant's crimes against residents of Gravity Falls have earned him a whopping 855,000 years in jail, plus a staggering, well, how do you even say that number? $11,700,000,000 fine? Ay, caramba. Bill better start running now, I guess. Ever wondered where a top hat wearing tortilla chip dream demon ever comes from? Well, Bill Cipher didn't magically pop out of the bag of Tostitos one day, steal the Monopoly man's hat and bow tie. He actually comes from the second dimension, a realm where everything is flat. The perfect place for a triangle, but Cipher wasn't so stoked about living there. And in the finale episode of Gravity Falls, we see a flashback from Bill's past, which heavily implies that he destroyed his home dimension and killed off his own species.
I liberated my dimension, Stanford, and I'm here to liberate yours.
Bill's species can live for trillions of years, as I've said, so there had to be at least 1 trillion triangles living in the flat dimension where Cipher sent it up in flames, which might be an overestimation, but you know what? Screw him. A life sentence for murder can be as high as 48 years, so Mr. Mass Murderer here is going to be looking at 48 trillion years in the Stony Lonesome for murder. Yep, he's out serving the sun, all right. Oh, wait. Oh, we got to add 2,928 years to that, actually. Totally forgot that Bill also murdered the Time Baby and approximately 60 of his time officers after they interrupted his monster disco and tried to arrest him. Who the hell did they think they were?
Surrender now or face my tantrum.
Oh, a tantrum. Whatever will I do about this? Oh, snap!
All in all, Bill's murders have earned him, oh my gosh, dude. So I'm just looking at the numbers, man. I'm crying. I'm actually crying at how big this is. 48,2,928 years in jail, plus the biggest fine I think I've ever seen in my entire life. A mind-boggling, super expensive, atrociously huge, only a being from the 4th dimension could actually, like, comprehend it. A fine of $1,261,000,000.
Ow, my brain hurts.
Oh, and how could I possibly wrap up this video without telling you how Bill CYPHER finally meets his demise? Because, I mean, I've already spoiled the entire show to you enough as is. Might as well go all the way. So after secretly switching places with Grunkle Ford, CYPHER enters Grunkle Stan's mind, believing he's about to discover the equation he needs to break down the barrier, preventing him from taking his nightmare party global. However, the real Grunkle Ford uses a memory eraser gun on Grunkle Stan, whom he actually invaded, he being Bill, which completely destroys everything inside Stan's mind, including the evil Dorito Man. The rift connecting Earth and the Nightmare Realm closes and sucks all the hideous monsters back from whence they came. Everything returned to normal after Stan got his memories back, but if Bill was still alive, he may consider unaliving himself anyway once he finds out how much jail time and fines he's racked up. So after exploding my calculator, oh, the last two numbers I told you, by the way, that wasn't even the total, that was just the total for that section. The grand total prison sentence for Bill CYPHER comes out to a 48,3,129 year-long sentence. And just the fines, man. $1,021,512,852,000. This dude might be the worst villain in Gravity Falls. And it may be in the history of the channel. I mean, honestly. Go ahead and click the screen to find out if there is a villain worse than this monstrosity.